Okay, I'm gonna start the recorder. Okay, everything is set and ready to go.
Okay, so you needed me to make a motion for me to become the acting
Motion
chairman?
for John Prego to act as chair for this meeting.
Motion?
Second. Aye. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so there's no point in reading the application, correct? Because we're continuing it from last meeting?
Right, but let's start by
Pledge
doing
allegiance.
all, that's right,
Okay.
call to order the meeting.
Yeah.
And say the date.
Right, so I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right.
So say the date and call the meeting to order.
All right, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. It's April 23rd, a little after 7. Again, we're going to continue with the property from last week, which is 9 Campbell. Oh, go ahead, do the roll call.
Thank you. Okay, John Grady is absent. Jonathan Burley,
Here.
John Prego,
Here.
Margaret Polka.
Here.
Wayne Greenblatt is absent. Ashley Torrey.
Present.
Okay, so we kept the minutes open. We kept the meeting, the public part of the meeting open from last month. We asked that they come back with a plan, and this is for Wes's benefit since he wasn't here. We asked him to come up with a more definitive plan because this was before us 15 years ago. And when it was before us 15 years ago, the garage was built without permits. We asked that they relocate it so that they did have the proper side yards and everything else and met the requirements. That was never done. So they're in front of us, different property owner is in front of us now. And would you like them to come up and walk you through it?
Yeah, sure.
Good evening, I'm Joe Iracey, architect from Warwick. Pete Prue, property owner. Spread this out so you can see. How are you?
Good.
Okay, so we were here last month and we understood there was concerns and comments regarding the existing garage. So this is a picture of the existing garage. It has a gambrel roof and it's approximately 30 feet by 30 feet and it's roughly 5 feet from the property line, both the rear and the side. Here's a aerial photograph of it. And this is the rest of the lot right here. That's just open, no home on the lot. So the primary concern, so this has been updated, the primary concern was that we were asking for variance for the side setback and the rear setback of this existing garage, which was built without a permit in the first place. So that was kind of something everyone had a concern with. So the first thing we decided to do since the last meeting is agree to reduce the size of the footprint to a normal 2-car garage, roughly 25 feet by 27 feet. We're going to literally remove the slab and the framing and the roofing, everything within 10 feet of the garage. We went there a couple of weeks ago and we decided it's not that complicated to cut back the framing and the roofing. Because it's a gambrel roof, we're just going to lose these little Dutch style wings on both sides, so it's just kind of like a normal garage, not a barn. So that we are not asking for a side setback anymore for that garage. That's been striked from our requests. Similarly, we're agreeing to take the back of the garage, we're just going to shorten the back of it as well, so that we are a full 10 feet away from the property line, and we are no longer asking for a variance for that rear part of the garage. And the third thing about the garage that I think some neighbors objected to was the style of the garage, was kind of this Dutch gambrel barn, which doesn't really fit in with the character of the neighborhood. And because there was no house in front of it, it was kind of in your face forever. So the second thing we did is we reduced the size of the home as well. We're down to 1,980 square feet. It was 2,500 square feet. So we chopped off some size. We still have the front porch and the rear porch. And also on that last request, we just showed kind of a big square area that we wanted to develop a style of a house plus the porches, but we weren't very specific. So since then, we came up with a design, and we're not using every inch of the land. It's a small porch on the front, small porch on the back, so the whole thing is reduced in mass. We also were concerned about this little corner here. We were right up against the existing driveway before, so we also agreed to squeeze the house in that direction. So we're actually changing our request for the width. We were asking for 30 feet total in setbacks. Now we have 32 feet total setbacks. So we're nipping and tucking it in every direction. And then the third thing is the public was concerned about the look, because we didn't represent a look. We were more focused on just getting a footprint satisfied. So we scoured the internet, Layla did, and she came up with this perfect rendition of what we want, which is this little building right here, the same footprint, where basically it's just broken down mass-wise into not a big box, but it fits in with the character in terms of the massing, the style, the roof lines, and the imagery. So that's what, this was so close, it wasn't worth us redrawing it, rendering it. It was so close. So this is an example of the proposed look, style, scale, color, and shape of the new home. So this is the home, that's our little porch right here. It's a center door, and it's kind of an arts and crafts style. And the barn would take on cues of the color and mass of the house we're proposing. So again, it's just gonna be a simple gable, similar colors. It's gonna fall and recede behind the main primary residence, so it's not in the forefront like it was. Not this dark and brooding color, it's gonna be cherry. So we're happy to scale back. We heard what everyone said, so the footprint is reduced in size, the size of the house is reduced, and the overall land coverage is less. And the setbacks, we're not asking for variances for this, just to let it be in terms of as just a normal two-car garage.
Good.
Does that make sense?
So you guys pretty much obliged the board's request with trying to decrease the footprint on the house, and the barn has no issues with the, but what about the, do you guys talk about the fact that the barn is not in compliance?
Well, if he does all this work now, he's gonna have to file permits for it, so it's gonna meet the requirements once it's done. And he doesn't need, there's no variances required for that
Okay.
garage now, and that was the biggest complaint last time.
Correct.
Not so much the house.
Right,
And obviously, this house is closer to the property line than what they're proposing.
right.
So,
So there's no longer setback variances required for the garage, but you do still require the variance for the distance between the garage and the home? Is that correct, or you're changing the height of the garage
It's
at all?
16 feet right now.
And is the garage still going to be 22 feet?
It's,
Okay, so
the
that
height is staying the
variance would
same.
still be the same, and then the other one that's related to the garage would be the lot coverage, which they're still seeking. They're
Correct.
seeking a reduced
Correct.
one, but
okay.
How far is this house from the property line? Do we
Looks
know?
like 5 feet.
Right, that's what it looks like. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we were wondering the same thing. It
And
didn't
this
have a
one's-
number on the
and-
survey.
And this one's closer, so we don't have an issue
Yeah,
there.
we're
Right,
respecting
yeah.
that line.
Yep,
It's roughly 31 feet from the road to the front porch. They both are. And we actually were there, and we kind of laid it out with tape, and it kind of worked out. The numbers all worked, that we respected this front.
mm-hmm,
But without these two variances, you just can't fit anything on the lot.
right.
It's supposed to be 50 feet. The whole lot's only 65 feet, so you can only build a 15-foot wide
Mhm.
house.
Right.
So we respectfully are requesting a variance, at least for that. But this we're willing to squeeze, and it just makes sense to keep it because Pete is a landscaper and he's got lawnmowers and weed eaters. We want to kind of put all that stuff in there. You don't want to leave that stuff outside. Even if we tore that down, we would, a year later, ask to build a garage in the same footprint. So it's just saving a step and some money to just kind of make it look better and use it as a storage building for his equipment, and otherwise you're just gonna have cars sitting outside and lawnmowers sitting outside. I think we need it.
Okay, I think
I
it's,
just wanted to mention one thing, Joe. So we won't actually store our equipment there. We have our own shop in Tuxedo, where we store all of our machines and everything.
Sometimes I bring a truck home.
That's what you
But-
said last time, yeah.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure that it's no business, nothing at all like that. We have a complete separate shop in Tuxedo, we have plenty of space there where our stuff is there. It would only, like your personal use of a weed whacker
Yeah,
or something.
personal weed
Yeah.
eaters and things.
Open up to the public.
Oh, it's still open, so.
Still open?
If somebody wants to come up and make a comment.
Can I come up and look at that?
Sure.
It's also up on the screen for anybody, but you can, whatever better for you. There are two options.
I like that.
I have a question. There are 6 variances that are being applied.
You have to state your name, please, and your address.
Oh, Barbara
Yes,
Katz.
come stand up here, Barbara.
Barbara Katz, 17 Campbell Road. I have a letter here that it's outlining 6 variances. The total footprint variance, the setback, what you were just talking about, with the width, and the 20-foot requirement, so there's a 40% difference. I mean, it's all boils down to still 6 variances that are being applied for or needed. And is that typical of people building anything?
In the village, I've been here on this board for over 20 years, and it is fairly typical. Yes.
People apply for that many variances?
Yeah, because the lots are undersized to begin with. And they, when the lots were initially subdivided, when the subdivision was created, there was different zoning in place. So the reason we have this board is to grant relief to people that were kind of messed up with the change in zoning. Zoning changes constantly. So that's why this board exists.
Right. And, all right, so.
And I would just clarify, I believe it would be 8 variances that are required. So originally they were seeking, I think originally they were seeking 11 and now it's down to 8, or originally they were,
Well, we're not asking for the 2 variances for the garage.
yeah, you had
the side and the
eliminated
rear.
3. So originally you were seeking 11 and now you eliminated 3 since then.
Yeah, and some we can't, like the average width
Yeah,
is
lot width,
100
so
feet, now it's
lot area,
65.
lot width, street frontage, those are all just by the nature of the lot itself. Then you have the front yard setback, the side yard setbacks, which you have reduced from the prior plan, as you had noted. The total
Correct.
side yard setback has also been reduced. And development coverage, which has also been reduced, and then you eliminated the floor area ratio variance, and as we discussed before, you still need that setback between the building and the garage.
Yes.
Nothing is inconsistent with probably the next 4 houses in a row going down Campbell. Very, very similar. Some of them, most of them are the garages are on the line and the houses are closer, so we try to be sensitive to.
Hi, my name is Carrie Boland. I live at 15 and a half Campbell Road. There's an interesting history behind the half. 15 was built, 17 was built, and then somebody decided in 1930, probably the Depression, like, okay, let's stick a house in between. And of course, the codes were different, as you mentioned, at that time. My house is the smallest one on the block. We also don't have a garage. But what we do have is, using a tape measure, because I don't have a professional thing, I'm gonna guess from the widest part of my house to my property line is 12 feet on both sides. I noticed on this that the 12 feet from the house to the property line. However, both my neighbors on both sides, 15 and 17, also have at least 12 feet to the property line. We don't have a narrow alley between our houses. We have room between me and 15 for substantial trees. So I don't see my neighbors on 15. And when I walk in my backyard, I feel a breeze. I feel like this is my space. On the other side, where I border with 17, the driveway runs up that side of the fence. I do have some shrubbery and stuff on that side, so does my neighbor, and we kind of share it because it goes through the fences and we take care of each other's stuff. However, there is still breathing space because from the fence to 17 is another 12 feet. I don't think there's 5 feet from the property line to the neighbor's house, as Mr. Iracy mentioned. I think that we deserve for this an accurate measure. I don't know those neighbors, by the way, but I'm horrified to think that there's gonna be a house, like literally right up against their house. I think that setback is of particular concern and should be reconsidered. And there's no reason why not.
It's referring to this.
You know, I think Mr. Iracy is a talented architect. 24 Welling is one of my favorite houses. I think that it is possible to have something that is beautiful and generous and in character with the neighborhood and respects the neighbors who've been there and the houses that have been there since, if mine's the newest, it's 1930. All right, thank you.
And I'd like to say something. I'm Fran Sinclair, and I would like to say to our new neighbors, this is not personal, this has been going on a long time with this barn. So I don't want you to think it's you, it's the barn. May I just show you something? This is my fence. This is their garage. The fence is not on the property line, but inside the property line by a foot. So when they built this, they built it very, very close to my property line. They also built it extremely, almost on the country club line. And I'm just trying to find my barn, if I can. Well, and here is mine since 1890, and this is the one that Dimitrolis built. And I just wanted you to see it because it's so close, and it's so close to the fence. And it's been a thorn in my side for a long, long time.
That's why we proposed to make it.
Right.
And
Did you hear what the conversation was? We were agreeing to move it 10 feet away from the property line
but
in both directions.
10,
At 10 feet, it doesn't require a variance.
There's no variance required. We're cutting half
but
the
that's
garage
the
down.
part, what I wanna know is why the ruling of 2009 is being totally ignored. You guys signed off on that.
2009, we said to move it,
Yes.
so that you had the side yards. They're
Yes.
cutting it back.
No,
so-
they said that they wanted to build a house.
They're cutting it back, so you have the side yard. If they knock it down, they can still build a garage in the same spot.
But you said in 2009
Correct.
they could have the house, but not the garage.
No, we said they
Yeah.
could have the house, they wanted to turn the garage into a house.
Right, so you said I
And
would
we
move
said,
it?
move it,
Right, move
Right.
it up or
We di-
demolish the garage,
Correct.
that's what you said.
because they didn't propose to build a house in front of it. Now they're making that garage compliant. It meets the requirements.
Well, what I wanted to know is, for the house itself too, are you gonna have the correct, you're not gonna have the correct setbacks from my property and the property next door? There should be 50 feet,
Correct.
and there's
And the
not.
yard, the lot is 65 feet. So when that was subdivided and the laws were changed in the subsequent years, if you owned that property, you would not be able to build on it?
Can't you just build on it and keep the proper
10 feet
setbacks?
wide?
It's 15 feet.
We'll
left
put a
over.
trailer there.
I will say the house is
Yeah.
lovely.
And there's
I'm not-
lots in the village that are the same, or less, worse.
Well-
And we've approved worse and tighter.
Where's how?
I just think it's gonna be very close.
Mhm.
And it upsets me, and I don't understand why you guys aren't protecting the residents, and why it's costing me
We're
so much
residents
money.
also. We live in the village also.
No, I'm not attacking you.
Okay,
I'm just-
so-
I'm just
so we-
questioning.
you know, we-
No, I'm talking about the neighbors, we're right there.
I understand.
Yeah.
We moved to the village just like you did. We want to maintain the village charm just like you do. And we want to, make sure everything's compliant as best as possible.
But I have, my attorney led me to believe that they could not just disregard that 2009 decision.
And that's not what's being done, but I would note, I did receive a letter from your attorney requesting that the hearing be open, so it would be appropriate for us to wait to have any of those discussions without him present. I don't wanna speak with you without
I
your
don't wanna,
attorney
I don't wanna
present,
hold
but-
it up another week, no. I mean, I wanna just understand what's going on, but I'm not out for blood. And I certainly don't wanna hold it up another week. I just wanna understand, like, why what happened in 2009 is totally being ignored. I just don't get it. I still don't get it. And I'm not saying it's not a beautiful rendering, it is, but I just don't understand why that garage is being allowed to remain even at any size.
So my
on such a
understanding
small
from,
piece of property.
and that 2009 decision isn't being ignored, but my understanding from reviewing the record from that proceeding, at that time, it was originally they were seeking to convert the garage to a single-family dwelling.
Right.
At one point, I believe they did discuss keeping the garage as is and then constructing a single-family dwelling in the center of the property. Ultimately, the applicant agreed and all agreed that they would either remove the garage or relocate
Right.
to the center of the property and convert it to the single-family home. So here, they're not proposing to keep the garage as is, they're proposing to change, so it's not the exact same application that was before the board back in 2009. They are not seeking to keep the garage just as is, they are seeking to reduce the size and also to modify the design as well. And they're seeking they did obtain similar setbacks for the house itself back in 2009, but have changed the design as well. So it's not that decision's being ignored, but there are different aspects of what they're proposing now that weren't proposed at that time.
Okay, well.
I have a question for the board. Good evening, everybody. My name is Lucia Aloy. My beautiful 1914 home sits at number 32 Welling Avenue. That is at the corner of Welling and Campbell. My concern about this is that if these variances are allowed and that home is built there so close to the other one, what stops anybody else here, my property, from building a home on that property and then having it look like Queens eventually? That's my concern.
I think the key word you just used was eventually. There's very little lots available in the village. Very little.
So you're
People,
saying that you would grant these variances to me if I wanted to put a house?
I may not
You
be
have-
around.
Do you have 2 lots?
I have a quarter acre, I don't know if that's too low.
So you'd have to get an approved subdivision
Yeah,
first.
listen, I
Right.
tried to put a garage, I got taken, they beat us up. So I don't have a garage on my property.
So you weren't
A
denied,
garage.
but you weren't
You
denied.
didn't come before us for a variance for the garage. You may have been denied a building permit, but you didn't come for a variance. You probably would have gotten one.
So then, you're pretty liberal with your variances, eh?
Well, we
Not
do,
necessarily.
No.
We-
Any variance application, there's a state law
Yes.
test that the board has to apply, so everything is going to be very fact specific based on what the request is for and also the conditions of the property.
Y'all listening?
The
Y'all
neighborhood.
listening to that? Okay.
there's very little property available in the village.
Yes, I know, and they
And
don't want to,
this
don't want
board-
to split up smaller ones. I was told that by the tax man. Because there's a garage adjacent to my house belonging to a different property, which we were trying to purchase. And we were gonna be given a very hard time, our lawyer said, because they don't like to break up the small village properties. But they seem to have done it for, Mr. Demetrolis.
Yes. We're gonna look like Bloomingburg or Monroe soon.
No, we're gonna look like Warwick, but better.
I'd like it to look like.
Can I
So
go
just
next?
to be clear, though, this is an existing lot where they're not seeking to split the property at all. So it's not something that requires a subdivision, it
Right.
is, the lot itself is already existing,
But it
so a
was split,
situation
and-
where,
And people could want to do that
But
en
we're,
masse.
but that would be different
Right.
to try to make a conforming lot non-conforming, or to make even a non-conforming lot less conforming, that would be a different situation than having an existing non-conforming lot and seeking to do something on that. So it really would be dependent on the circumstance and very fact specific. It's hard to give just a black or white answer for any type of variance that might come before the board.
Yeah, okay, well, that's not very encouraging, I gotta tell you. It's just not. So that's my concern. I have no intention of losing value in my home that I've worked very hard to make beautiful, and it is.
As many people have.
Sir?
So I'd like to address that's Neil Sinclair, 40 Oakland Avenue. So when we first were addressed with this, and there were 11 variances requested, we hired an attorney. And the second time, we had to do it in 2009. So we spent tens of thousands of dollars in attorney fees to defend our property, the lot, and the community. So the latest letter that was sent by our attorney, who is not here today, can we go through these variances and tell us how that's gonna be? He's saying that the variances continue to be substantial. Can I read the letter?
Sure.
Sure.
I know preliminarily, the new site plan includes a garage which ZBA had directed to be removed. The applicant has not demonstrated a change in circumstances indicating that he is entitled to relief from ZBA's prior decision and order, and the applicant has not submitted an amended ZBA application. Further, the variances continue to be substantial. Number one, the lot width. The required lot width is 100 feet and proposed lot width is 65 feet. The difference is 35 feet. Stated differently, it is 65% of the minimum lot width. How is that?
So first of all, the lot width is not proposed, it's existing. So it's an existing lot. They're not subdividing anything, it's no proposal here. It's an existing lot,
So this is an incorrect statement.
correct.
Right? Number two, the lot area variance is also substantial. The required lot area for a dwelling is 20,000 square feet. The proposed lot area is 8125 square feet, difference of 11,075 square feet, or percentage difference of 59.38%.
Mhm.
Same comment?
So the factor of substantial, that is a factor under the 5-part area variance balancing test that the board applies, but no one factor is determinative, so variances that may be substantial, when you weigh them with those other factors, that doesn't mandate disapproving the variance. I would note for those two, the lot width related to that street frontage and lot area, those variances were all approved back in 2009.
Okay. The maximum development coverage is 35%. Proposed maximum development coverage is 40%, a difference of 5%, or percentage difference of 14.9% to 9%. Comment on that?
So when the board is ready to discuss the balancing test, they'll go through the substantial factor and all other factors and address whether the balancing test weighs in the applicant's favor or not.
For one side setback is a requirement of 20 feet, the proposed side setback is 12 feet, or a difference of 8 feet, or percentage difference of 40%. The rear side setback apparently is acceptable. Same response?
Yeah, I think you're, just the way the board process works, they're not gonna give responses to each of these individually. They will discuss though all of these when it's time to discuss that balancing test.
Okay, so then, just for the yucks, let me read the last two. The total side setback requirement is 50 feet, and proposed total side back is 32 feet. This is a difference of 18 feet, or percentage of 36%. And number 6, the total footprint also requires a variance. Total footprint.
I'm not sure what's meant by that, the total footprint. You may be referring to, because there was a floor area ratio, but that had been eliminated, that variance, so total footprint, I think, is perhaps discussing the various setback variances.
It's probably the total footprint of both structures is what they probably.
I have to mention, the applicant does not address.
We're less than the floor area ratio. The floor area ratio of Warwick for this zone is 25%, we are 24%. We're less. We're smaller than required for building footprint.
Do you know what that last one was, the total footprint requires a variance? Do you know what that was referring to?
No.
I think it likely has to do with just the variances that are required because of the size of the structure, so the setback variances.
Yeah, the
et
floor
cetera.
area ratio is the building construction. The other number, which is the total footprint, I mean, the lot coverage is impervious surface, which is the driveway. That's why the number's so much bigger. But, yeah, so the buildings, the decks, the garage, and the driveway all adds up to 40% of the lot. And they're saying it should be no more than 35%. But again, if you follow the rules of the zoning, you can only build a 15-foot wide house, or just can't build anything on the lot. So that's why we're requesting variances. And again, every lot on the street is roughly 8,000 square feet all the way down, all around the neighborhood where I live. It's just a common, they're quarter-acre zones, basically. And that earlier comment about this neighbor that's only 5 feet away, that's not our fault, that she's only 5 feet away. I mean, I would think that she built that before there was any kind of setbacks, and she was able to build within 5 feet of the property line.
No, there's a story to that, and that wasn't the neighbor's fault.
Yeah.
That was Demetro's.
I'm not saying it's anyone's fault. There was a time when you could just build without worrying about the distances you need to maintain between you and your neighbors. Now, over time, they're more and more aware of overcrowding things, so that's why they're asking for bigger spaces, but that's in a perfect world on huge lots. Right from the start, this would be an unbuildable lot, and all the lots in the world would be unbuildable. So that's why there's a variance board, because they want to review it and give prudent advice, and not, you know, ideally you would want to have 100 feet between you and a neighbor, but, you know, we're living with existing conditions.
I mean, even if it's not technically the rules, it's still nice to be respectful to your neighbors who wants to be, you know, looking in each other's windows. But in regards to what you were saying, like, okay, everybody has small lots and nobody would be compliant, at the same time, if you have a lot of a certain size and it's maybe smaller or whatever, then wouldn't you, if you wanted to make all the setbacks, you would put the house in the middle?
It would be 15 feet wide, though. That's a trailer. You want them to put a trailer on the lot?
Anybody can put whatever they want,
Do you,
but
I'm
my,
asking a question, would you want to see this house, or do you want to see a trailer?
I'm not answering that question. But I think what the point is that out of respect for the existing borders, and to do in a way where you're not, you know, nickel and diming setbacks, would be to have a house in the center of the property.
It is.
It is.
It is in the center.
It's got 12 feet on one side and 22 on the other. 20 feet on one side, 12 on the other. You respectfully, you bring up the neighbor that's only 5 feet away, but that has nothing to do with us. We could ask her to take down part of her house, but it doesn't bother our clients.
So how many feet would be to my property line,
Which one is yours?
the 40 Oakland?
Well, your garage will be no closer to the property line than their garage, once this garage is demoed, and we talk.
No, I'm
they're
talking
both-
about the house. How,
Well, your property's all around the corner, isn't it?
my yard backs up to?
I think it's adjacent, so it would
20
be
feet.
20 feet from the property line.
Yes, correct. This fence, we are maintaining 20 feet from the fence.
You can't
Not the
enter from
fence.
the fence.
Yeah, but it's not the fence, the property
It's the-
line is
whatever-
clearly
It's the
distinguished
property
on the
line.
line.
It's the property line. Yeah, we're respecting the property line. So it's 20, because that's where the driveway was.
Mhm.
So, and that's where the garage doors are, so we've just kept that garage as, the driveway as was. But then the other side, to get a normal sized house, 33 feet. I mean, if we could take another foot off, if that makes a difference, but to make it 15 feet, there's just no way to build a house that's 15
And
feet
how
wide.
far would the new garage be from my property?
10 and 10. We're gonna make sure it's compliant to code, 10 feet and 10 feet from the property line. We met there, we realistically thought about how to cut 5 or 8 feet off the house to make it code compliant.
I thought it had to be 50 on each side.
No. It's, garages are 10 feet from property lines.
Okay, different from the house.
Yeah, and like these gentlemen mentioned earlier, if you said, listen, I hate that garage, just tear it down, there's really nothing to stop these clients or someone else who buys the lot to build another garage that's code compliant within 10 feet of the property lines. It won't need a variance, they could just do it. So we might as well just shrink the garage, make it prettier, and you know, make it like a normal garage, a two-car garage, and cut it back. Why throw all that material away and, you know, the value of it seems kind of silly in the world of recycling. Why don't you somehow save the structure but make it code compliant at the same time?
We're also not gonna be able to really put a basement on there, so.
No
we need the
basement.
storage, we're just gonna do a slab on grade because there's nowhere to, daylight the footing drains.
Right.
And then we would require pumps that would put water into other areas, so we
There's no
reviewed it,
storage.
so there's nowhere to put it.
And how far is the proposed garage from the road, from the house?
It's 16 feet roughly, and that's to the porch. There's an open porch. It's not, to the dwelling is about 20 feet away, 22 feet away, but we want to put a back porch. There's actually a beautiful view back here looking at the golf course. But again, that's just a spindly structure with a deck and a little roof. It's not the actual mass of the building. So it's about 22 feet away from the garage.
The lawyer's letter says, lastly, the applicant does not address the distance between the proposed garage and proposed dwelling. Is that an issue?
No, it's right, it's on the paper.
It's in there.
It's written right here, it's 16 feet now.
Is that requiring a variance, or is that within? I don't see.
Both garages have to be 10 feet from property lines.
Okay.
So it's the distance between the garage and the dwelling. The requirement is that it be at least 16 feet, I believe, or the height of the accessory structure, whichever is larger.
Oh, I see.
Oh,
The height
so that's the,
affects the distance. Well, we're 16 feet, and I think we're slightly taller to the peak of the garage.
So I think the height of the garage is 22 feet, so that's what triggers the that variance.
Got it.
So does that require variance as well? That's
Yes.
there? Okay, so that's on the list of.
Yes, that's
Okay.
included on the list.
So is it going to be in line with all the other houses on the block?
It is. That was our starting point, was to just make it perfectly even with the neighbor's house.
if you want, you can come take another look at the plan.
It's here too.
And we can't, that
Can we turn that to them?
I mean, most of these variances are because of the lot size. It's not because we're asking for a smaller lot and lot coverage. It's all there already.
And the second floor of the garage, that will be used for,
It's just a garage of storage.
we have to
Nobody's
re-
living in there.
When was it built?
I'm sorry.
When was the garage built?
2001 or 2002.
So nobody can live in there.
Yeah, you can't legally live.
Can't be an accessory apartment.
I believe it was before 1985.
Correct,
You mentioned that in the last meeting.
correct.
Yeah, no one's looking to do that.
We also have to reiterate, it can't be used as a business. JR is a landscaping business.
That's fine. We can agree to that. It's a residential zone.
It's residential zone unless somebody comes to zoning this board and asks for,
That's a change of use, and that's a change of use, and that's never approved.
Yeah, use variances are very complicated. Area variances, because of the existing conditions, are common. To change a use from one thing to another takes years, if it's even,
We haven't
Consider.
approved one since I've been here.
oh, okay.
yeah.
Any more questions from the public?
I don't think so.
Do we have to,
You did receive the letter from the Sinclair's attorney that was requesting the hearing be held open until
Yeah.
next month. So if the board wants to consider that request, and also whether or not you are gonna hold the hearing open, I think it would be appropriate for the board to go through the factors, and rather than make a decision tonight, authorize me to draft a decision for your next meeting. That way I could have everything that you discussed set forth and make sure it's all clear what exactly is proposed to be approved, and
I mean, out of courtesy to the attorney and to the neighbors, I have no problem leaving it open for another meeting.
Right. And we only have 3 members tonight.
Right.
so it would be a motion to adjourn the public hearing to May 28th, 2024 at 7 PM.
I'll make the motion.
The continuation of the public hearing? Is that,
To continue or to adjourn it
okay,
to continue on May 28th.
I'll second.
okay, John first. Wes second.
Okay, so are you asking us to make
And then all,
any,
I'm sorry, all in favor of the,
Aye.
Aye.
okay.
are you asking us to make any revisions or changes, or you just?
No.
we
No.
want you to come because
No.
Laurie wants to be at the next meeting?
Correct.
But he could just keep stalling forever if he wanted to.
No.
Yeah.
We're not looking to do that.
And you want more members here.
All right, well, let me just say also, when I drive down the street and there's missing buildings, it looks like a smile with missing teeth. I like seeing a rhythm of buildings and homes in a street. And the second thing is, it's good to have more neighbors that, you know, pay taxes, school taxes. We need people to kind of sustain our 30 restaurants on Main Street, things like that. So this isn't a bad thing. I mean, some of the arguments from the last meeting were that they're gonna use the road more. They're gonna use more water. But of course they are, that's just normal. They're gonna breathe more air too. But that, to me, that's not an argument. It should be a detrimental thing.
I
They're gonna
think you-
give back to the community
I
probably
think
more
you
than they
listened
go
to what we had to say at the last meeting, and I'm very happy with what you drew up here with the garage and
Yeah,
everything else.
It's moved in a good direction.
So I think you really listened, you tried to accommodate everybody as best you could, and still build something on that lot that fits with the character of the neighborhood.
Okay, so we're just gonna meet again in a month. And we're not gonna change the drawing, we'll just come back with the same drawing.
If the board doesn't have any request to change it, unless you have something
No.
that
No, I think
you're
we're good.
proposing to change, I think if the board wants to just maybe start discussing the 5 factors, and then I can prepare a draft decision for your next meeting based on how we discussed them this evening. So the first is whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood, or a detriment to nearby properties would be created by granting the requested area variances.
No.
No.
Whether the benefit sought could be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue,
No.
other than the variances.
No.
No.
Whether the variances are substantial.
Yes.
Yes.
Whether the variances would have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
No.
And whether the difficulties were self-created.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'll prepare that decision for the board to consider at the next meeting based on your discussions, and it'll be taken back up on May 28th.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, thank you for your time.
Thanks. Call to adjourn.
No, we got one more.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
You thought it was gonna be early.
You know what? That's why I like the hard copy. Because I read the whole thing. I even read this.
Good night, everybody.
Good
Bye.
night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Did somebody forget their stuff?
Yes.
Did somebody? Oh, Fran, don't forget that.
Okay.
She just gave me cookies.
So there's nobody here from the public, so there's no point in reading this unless you want me to.
You can read, you typically read it for the record, and then a motion to open the public hearing.
Sure. So, you ready?
Yes.
Bear-
So agitated.
You have no idea. So, the application of Amy B. Slater, for property located at 12 and 18 Galloway Road, Warwick, New York, designated on the village tax map as Section 213, Block 8, Lots 6, 7, and 9, located in a residential district, for 2 variances for the bulk area requirements of zoning. Code 1, to reduce required side yard setback from 10 feet to 5.6 feet and 8.5 feet. And 2, reduce the required side yard from 10 feet to 8.2 feet. The variances are sought for 2 greenhouse structures in connection with the proposed lot line change to consolidate 3 tax lots into 2.
A motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
There's nobody here, so can I make a motion to close it?
Sure.
I'll make a motion to close it.
Second it.
You wanna just walk us through what you got here?
Sure.
All in favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
Tell us what you want.
So basically, we're just trying to align the property lines with the actual existing structure or uses, just for down the road. It was advised to us that we try to get sort of our business in order, and right now, when we actually did the first survey, you could see that the shop parking lot was actually on the house front yard, and the house porch was on the greenhouse side. So, and that's just because over the last, whatever, 80-some years, the same families have owned both the business and the house structures, and no one cared what happened between the two property lines. But if down the road, if we want to somehow split off and sell those properties as different entities or whatever, or if whatever happens,
Do you have a drawing?
it'd be messy otherwise.
We have
Yeah, so we're trying to make it easier for the kids right now. But,
Before anything happens to us, we need to tidy up everybody.
so
and
we're just
everything.
trying
Very thoughtful.
to shoot the gap there between what's the fence for the backyard and the edge of the greenhouse on that side yard. That's the gist of what we're doing for this.
So where's
Where's lot 3?
where's lot 3 right now? This is proposed, right?
Right.
Wait, where are we?
Yeah.
So 17 is here.
Oh, this is what you're proposing, so
Oh, yeah. Yes.
All right, so this is the house property.
Yep.
And then they told us, so the parking lot, the way this is, the parking lot actually goes over into our
Yeah, you can see.
personal property.
Existing.
It's personal.
mhm.
So they recommended at the last meeting that we turn this little section into one lot, scooch this line over, but this is a Quonset hut, it's not a permanent structure, it's just a plastic building. But when everything was built, my grandparents just said, that's a good place for that, that's a
You
good
can-
place for that.
You can see the existing lines are here, so it's
That's
just, yeah, so we're just trying to
Mm-hmm.
shift them
Okay.
over.
Didn't see that.
Yeah, it's in light,
Yep, yep.
so
Okay.
we're just trying to align it with what the current
So you're
yards
actually
are.
making this lot a little bigger.
Well, yeah,
Yes
because
and no.
this will be one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
This-
It's here
yeah.
now and
So we're going
here.
from 3 to 2 lots.
Yeah.
right, yeah, so it'd be this and this.
so,
As
yeah,
opposed-
this is the business.
So this is 2 lots right now.
No, actually, I think the house, there's actually two
Ah,
lots
yeah.
here.
Okay.
We're just,
Okay. Got it now.
but
Now I
really,
got it.
the garden property which supports the
Yeah.
greenhouse runs
Now I
down.
got it.
Yeah,
So-
Okay.
this is just like where we plant our vegetables and our cutting flowers and stuff in the back.
Okay.
So this is all green space, this is a field, this is just like where our
We're
kids
saving you
used
a future variance by.
And then when they annexed in the back, they went town village. So
Yeah.
we have like a little tiny strip in the back that's actually town because that piece didn't get annexed when that Grand Union parcel went, when they annexed that into the village. So we have that weird little scenario that we're village, and then we have a little strip in the back that's town and village.
Gotcha.
So we're kind of all wonkied up in the whole.
Trying to make a little sense out of what's there.
Okay.
We're just trying to tidy up the mess.
And where are the proposed greenhouses going?
There's no change,
No,
there's no, the
No?
greenhouses are
They're already
here.
existing.
They're
Yes,
existing.
Okay.
so,
Yeah.
so our fence, which has been there for 60 years probably, the fence line actually is only
Currently on
five,
the greenhouse property.
yeah, that's currently
Gotcha.
on the greenhouse property. And then they said, oh, well, if you try to fix this lot line, you can't do that, you need to get a variance because this greenhouse is only 5.8 feet away.
Got it.
At the
So-
bottom. If you measure the top, we're clear.
Got
Okay.
it.
It's a little hoopy house.
Gotta go three
No,
dimensional.
because I'm just reading here, the variance is sought for 2 greenhouse structures in connection with the
Because
proposed
they're too
lot
close to the
lines,
lot.
but they're already there. Gotcha.
Yeah, we're
Right.
not building anything
Okay.
else.
So
We're
because of the way the new lots are gonna be consolidated, those will become non-conforming by
Right.
that new lot line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Got it.
Okay. I have no more questions.
No, neither do I.
So it would be appropriate for the board to make a motion to classify this as a type 2 action under seeker?
Yeah.
Motion by
Me.
John,
Yeah.
second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then I would note that this application was referred to the Orange County Planning Department under general municipal law because the property is located on Route 17A. And the planning department did submit their response saying that it's a local determination, so they have no comments on the application.
Okay.
Good news. I didn't know that.
So we could walk through the balancing test, and I would also ask, similar to the last one, that the board discuss the balancing test, and then I would prepare a written decision that'll be before you for your next meeting, just summarizing all of your rationale and reasoning, rather than taking action tonight. So-
We're short members, that's why.
Right.
Unfortunately, so I apologize.
So the first is whether an undesirable change would be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties created by granting the requested variance.
No.
No.
Whether the benefit sought could be achieved by some method other than variance.
No.
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 Whether the variances are substantial.
Yes, one of them at least.
Whether the variances would have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood.
No.
And whether the difficulties are self-created.
Yes.
Yes.
By their grandparents.
Exactly.
Indeed.
So I would prepare then a decision for your next meeting to take action. That'll be May 28th. And perhaps this one would maybe be first on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah.
Then you have to wait through the nightmare. Okay.
Yeah, I'm all agitated for that meeting.
Do I have to adjourn the meeting, make a motion to adjourn?
Yes.
I'll make a
Do
motion
you
to
have any
adjourn.
minutes to approve, or?
Oh, yes, you
Well,
do.
it's not enough members. I wasn't here last meeting.
Okay, so you should then,
Right.
unless you watched the video and wanna.
No, I didn't watch.
You can hold those over then to the next meeting.
I made the motion to adjourn the meeting, so.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next time we'll be quick. You'll be in and out.
You'll be in and out.
Wasn't it? Is the meeting adjourned?
Yes.
We have
Yes.
to close down.
Oh, so hold on.
Stop the recording.